Okay, this is Chapter 5, Section 1. This is Part 3. So let's say we want to solve for the other things such as principal, rate, or time, right? So you're still going to use the same formula of I equals P times R times T, right? So let's copy that from the other page. Let's go back here and copy it. Where did I have it here? All right, here it is. So I'm going to copy that right there, right? So that is the default formula there, correct? I equals right there. I equals P times R times T. See how a little circle works that way? So let's say we want one of the other ones like principal, rate, or time. Let's read the question here. So you borrow $3,600. Okay, that's the principal, correct? 2 years and 5 months is the time period. Okay. You pay this much in interest. Okay. Determine the simple interest rate at which the loan is paid. So we don't have the R, correct? So we want to know the R. So this is the R right here, correct? So that means the formula for R is interest over principal times time, right? So the R is equal to interest over principal times time. Okay, so if we take this right here, right? So we're going to say the rate equals, right? So when I look at this, so we're going to make a ratio. The I goes on top, right? The I goes on top, and then P and T go on the bottom. So the principal and the time goes on the bottom. Right? So that's how, using these circles, how I get that formula. So you're wondering, well, how did you do that? Well, if you think about it, if I divide both of these sides, right, I want to get R by itself, so you would divide by this anyways, right? P times T, right? So if you did that, that would cancel these ones, right? So if you think about it, what's really happening is these cancel, which gives us this formula here, right? So it's interest and then principal times time on the bottom, right? So this is this is the one that's colored. That tells us how to get the formula basically. Okay. Okay. So equals. Let's scroll down here. So ratio. The interest is. I'm sorry. $3,260. $320. Okay, and 60 cents. Sorry, I said that wrong. The original principal is $3,600. Okay, the problem here is 2 years, 5 months, right? So I have to convert that, don't I? So I'm going to go down to here into 5 months, right? So 1 year is to 12 months, right? So that is 5/12 of a month of for a year. So 5/12 of a year. Okay. Well, here's the problem though. Is I have two. It's not 5 months. It's 2 years and 5 months, right? So I'm going to go over to here. Plus 2 years, right? So I need to combine this into one. So I don't really want to mix numeral because I can't put 2 and 5/12 into a spreadsheet. I can't do that. So what we want to do is convert years, the whole number, into a fraction, right? So if I convert this into a fraction, it's 24 over 12 for common denominators, right? Because 24 divided by 12 is 2, right? Or simply just multiply 2 times 12. So that essentially gives me 29/12 years, right? So that's what we want to use. Okay, so I'm going to copy that and put that there now, right? So times this right here. Okay, so interest on the top, the principal on the bottom, and the time period on the bottom, which again has to be in years. So these are always in years. Okay, so now we're going to go to our spreadsheet and put this stuff in basically, right? Okay, so we're going to go to our spreadsheet and do R equals. Shift that to the right. Okay, so if I look at this, it's 320.60. So equals 320.60 divided by parentheses for the whole bottom, right? And that's very important. So 3,600 right, times the other fraction there, which is 29 over 12. 29 divided by 12, right? Because you're dividing the entire bottom, so you have to have those parentheses, right? See how the entire bottom is in there, right? So you need those parentheses in the spreadsheet so it knows to divide by the whole thing, not just the 3600. Okay, so I'm going to hit enter. So I get that there, okay? But this is not in as a percent. So what I want to do is do this times 100, okay? So that answer there is going to give me 0.03685 dot dot dot. So we're going to say 3.685 dot 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 percent. Okay, because that's the usable numeric form that we've been doing in the formula, and this is actually the symbolic part, right? So to get the symbolic part, you just need to multiply by 100 to get it back to the symbolic part, which means with the percent symbol, essentially. Okay? All right, let's try two more of these. Okay, so you borrow a sum of money for 20 months, right? So there's a time. There's the interest rate, 5.2 simple percent interest. If for this loan, you must pay the interest up front. You have $800 to spend. Determine how much you can borrow. So we don't know the principal, correct? We don't know the principal. So if I look up here, right, principal equals interest over R times T, right? So we're using this one here, right? So we're using this one here. We want the principal. So it's interest over R times T, right? That's the ratio. Okay. So we'll take this here and put this here. So P0 equals the I over the RT, correct? Which if you now kind of match it up, I equals P. I'm sorry, P equals I over RT, right? We're using the circle here. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so let's do the... All right, so the interest is $800 to spend in interest, right? The rate is 0.052 for the 5.2%. And then 20 months, ooh, that's not going to work, is it? Right, so 20 months, okay, is 1 year to 12 months, correct? So that is a ratio of 20 over 12 years. Again, you can simplify that, but it's not necessary. Just put it in there as the fraction, okay? Okay, so let's get our dollar amount for principal I can borrow. Okay, so I'm going to go to my spreadsheet. So we're going to do P equals, and shift that to the right. Okay, all right, so it's going to be on the top, the 800 divided by, we need the parentheses because if you look in here, there's two things in here. There's the 0.052. Whoops. There's the interest. Times the ratio of 20 over 12. 20 divided by 12. Right? So the whole thing is in the denominator because of those parentheses, correct? So we get that amount there. So move this over. Let's shrink this down a little bit. So I'm going to put a dollar sign, 9230.76. I'm going to round down because they're not going to give you that last penny. They always kind of go in their favor. If it's interest, they're going to charge you the extra penny. If it's loaning you money, they're going to keep the extra penny. Right? Just be careful of the rounding rules in Lumen, whatever they specify. Okay. All right, so the next part, you borrow $2,400, it's 7% interest. So that's the principal, that's the interest rate, and this, you paid per year is a total of $420 in interest, right? So you don't know the time period. How long did you borrow the money for, right? The duration of the loan, right? So let's go up to here. What don't we know? The time period. There's a time period, this one right here, right? Which means it's interest over principal times rate equals time, correct? So I'm going to take my formula again. Paste it, right? And go up. So if I look at my little formula over here, T equals a ratio of I over P and R, correct? Right? So T, the thing that's colored here, right? The thing that's colored, see that? And then interest is on the top, and then P times R is on the bottom, right? That's how you do it algebraically. Okay. Let's fill our goodies in now. All right, so the interest paid is $420. Oh, well, we didn't make a fraction there. $420. The principal is $2,400, which is what we borrowed. And the 7% interest would be 0.07. Whoop, we didn't put the multiply, I apologize. Times 0.07 equals. Okay, so let's go to our spreadsheet and put T equals, and move that to the right. Okay, so if I look here, we have 420 on the top. So 420 divided by, and then we have 2,400 and 70%. So parentheses 2,400 times the 7%. Notice it's in parentheses, the whole thing. And if I hit enter, nothing happens, right? Because I didn't put the equals first to actually equate it, correct? So it'll equate this. Notice the whole thing is on the, was it 7%? Double check. It is 7%. Okay, so 420 divided by all of that in parentheses gives us 2.5. So this is 2.5 years, because remember, all the formulas are always in years for these type of things. Okay. Okay, so long story short, you can solve for time, you can solve for principal, you can solve for rate, or you can solve for interest, which is what we did in the original video. Any of those four things in this diagram you can solve for with that formula when it comes for simple interest. All right, that's the end of part 3.